Pillars of Eternity continues. Welcome back, everyone, to more Pillars of Eternity. We have made another portrait change. Decided the recovery speed that Ronstock was suffering was too much, so I went ahead and switched the robe over to him. Of course, I had to contact Sai, the official artist for the Pillars of Eternity Let's Play, and he got right on the ball. I took a quick nap, woke up, we had a portrait for Ronstock in those very robes. And these are extra special, and I'm going to show you why. Anyways, here they are. Again, these are Rundle's Finery. +2 intellect, +2 lore. Recovery speed is -15. We were suffering, I believe, I gave the armor to Eder. It was a little bit better than his starting armor. But yeah, -40. So in the spellcasting world, I think this is going to be better suited for us. I'm not sure why they started Ronstock with plate. I guess maybe it was had something to do with the origin of his land, because that's what chooses your starting armor. But obviously I think the wizard robes is the way to go. Cool thing about this portrait is if you can look really closely right here in the middle of that golden pendant, there's the Game Hoarder symbol. The original Game Hoarder banner is drawn into that. And I'm going to do you one sweeter and show the original blown up artwork here in just a second. So this is another reason why I love Bandicam, because I can completely just change my window on the fly to whatever I want. A lot more powerful than Fraps, so I'm glad that this game looks like it's working out. I forgot to have the mouse cursor appear in the previous 2 videos. There's a checkbox for that right in front of me. Show mouse cursor. Didn't even think about it. Some games it automatically does it, some games it doesn't. Anyways, should see my mouse cursor. Here is the original artwork, and of course here, whoa! You can see the little devil playing on the computer. It's amazing. Good job, Sai. Love you, man. Making this LP platinum. So back to the game. Sweet portrait. Love how the gold work. Sai is excellent at the metallic armor look and differentiating between textures, metal versus cloth.
What is it?
Fairly injured here. And back on the wooden plains. We are probably going to need a rest here. Eder is pretty beat up. He's only got 187 health. Alof is also pretty mauled.
I shall. Nice and quiet.
Surprised there's nothing in this huge open field here. Kind of abandoned wagon. I shall relieve them of their goods.
Yes.
That's pretty much it, except the bottom right. Very uneventful down here.
Well?
Well, I think we're done for here. Done here for now. Let's go ahead and move on. Maybe to the southeast, I'm thinking. The little icon is kind of a pain in the ass sometimes. Alright, so this gets us to Stormwall Gorge. No, I actually want to head to the Adelwyn Bridge. Four hours.
What is it?
Estrande Miramelis. Some commoners and Craddock Bridgeman. Some story time. You see a lavishly decorated room, walls hung with tapestries, ornate oil lamps creating a warm, relaxing atmosphere. There are several overstuffed couches covered with silk pillows and an elegant table in the middle of the floor. This woman is seated at the table, sitting across from another woman. They are both well dressed, their style befitting the room they're in. The other woman's hair is blonde, in stark contrast to this woman's black, and is swept up on her head in dramatic style. The women speak in an easy, free tone, obviously familiar with one another. Though they each seem to be comfortable in each other's company, a strange nervousness surrounds the blonde woman's actions. She occasionally betrays herself with a little giggle or stammer, hitching over an easy word as she speaks. Her demeanor swings from friendly to shy and back again with no warning. This woman leans back a little in her chair, stretching lightly. As she finishes her stretch, she gently lays her hand next to the other woman's hand, letting their fingers subtly intertwine. The second woman stops speaking mid-sentence, inhales sharply, and turns red. She does not, however, move her hand. These two want to fuck. This woman smiles and moves her hand further over the other, holding it. She then stands, moving around the table toward the blonde woman, whose face shows conflicting emotions of terror and lust. The scissor is amongst thee. She giggles and pulls her hand out from under the other and brings it to her mouth, the red of her face deepening. This woman stops, looking down at her, eyes sparkling. She reaches out and pulls something from the blonde's hair, letting it fall around her shoulders. Then she leans over, brushing her lips lightly over the blonde woman's cheek, resting her mouth against her ear. As she whispers, "Wanna fuck?" her hands move lightly down the other woman's body to her waist. The blonde shudders and leans into the hand, eyes closing, cheek pressing against the lips, still whispering at her ear. This woman's hand deftly removes a small bag from the other woman's belt and secretes it under her own cloak at the small of her back. Then she gently kisses the other woman's cheeks and stands again, the smile never leaving her mouth. Whoa. I felt like I was reading soft porn there for a second. I was getting into it. Hopefully Cardox isn't the man version. You see a ship being tossed about in a storm-ravaged sea. The swells rise and fall, carrying the ship with them as if it were a toy. This man stands on deck at the helm of the ship, while water whips around him. The crew moves about frantically, trying to keep the chaos under control. He barks orders at them, pointing where to go and giving each one a task. The men, while still visibly distressed, seem to calm down when they are given their orders. He instructs the helmsman to resume his duties at the wheel and rushes to the aid of the crewman, who is struggling with a rope attached to one of the sails. The ship crests a wave, going almost vertical in one direction and then immediately again in the other. Several of the crew are thrown from their feet, sliding across the deck as the ship rocks. After the swell passes and the ship returns to a relatively normal orientation, the man quickly scans the deck, counting silently. No one has been lost this time, thankfully. He looks in the direction they're headed, seeing no reprieve from the storm in sight. His jaw squared and his upper lip stiff, and he returns to the helm and takes the wheel again. He's the captain of his ship!
Well?
Or, in one life, he was the captain of a ship. Zoran Zenius Kavik. You see a flurry of matted white hair with an incandescent freeze-fire staff before you. See the man, cold and wild. He chews a wizened apple slowly, discharging spell after spell into a jumble of villagers screeching their way towards him. Cold flame vents from his nose, and apple seeds shoot out the side of his mouth as he saunters forward, ignoring arrows and curses alike. A deliberate twist of his staff, and a bullet of force glides through the torso of one assailant and another. A roar blisters his throat as he launches himself into the midst, tearing into their essence with his staff. A pleading hand reaches toward him and quickly falls ignored. Silence takes hold as the tattered man gathers his prize, a basket of fresh pears. He hums as he eats. That sounds like a Ronstock past.
Yes?
Welcome to Defiance Bay, but watch yourself in our city, understand? I am just a Carforgant, a bad motherfucker.
How do you do?
Oh, he didn't talk anything like I thought he would. What can you tell me about Defiance Bay?
Sorry, but I don't have time right now. But it sounds like the dozen's crackpot Roland stirring up trouble again.
He jerks his head at the gate.
He'd be all too happy to give you the rundown of the city. Liberally flavored with dozen propaganda, of course.
Holy shit, printer, shut the fuck up. I'm looking for the Temple of Warika.
He scratches his beard. Not sure why I'd want to go there.
He shrugs.
It's the first fires if you really want to see it.
And first fires. Okay, mental note, make that. We do need to visit that temple. You seem to be on edge. What's the problem?
Thousands of them, truth to be told. We've got refugees coming in from all the parts, under some misguided notion that things are actually better here. That the legacy somehow passed us over. So they show up with no prospects and little money. Just end up making a worse mess of things.
He looks up. He looks you up and down.
No offense. Good luck to you.
I thought he was going to try to be a hard ass.
The expeditions out of Admesden are just organized grave robberies.
Don't know nothing about it, but I do love robbing some graves. 15 minutes. Here we are. This is the Baldurs Gate of the cities.
Defiance Bay, the city at the heart of the Deerwoods Revolution, now seems on the brink of another. Refugees line the streets, homeless and hungry, displaced by White One's legacy, hoping for relief within the city walls, and finding none. Dissidents congregate to protest and to heckle, calling for an end to animancy and the ouster of their duke. The city's militiamen cast fearful looks as they patrol the streets, their hands trembling at the hilts of their weapons. The capital of a country that had not long ago incinerated a god now appears to be a spark away from sharing the deity's fate.
Oh yeah! Big city, big prizes. Big city shit going down here.
Yes.
Charge! Kill everyone! Ooh. What is that? It's a little meow meow. Carogolan. Made from a sacred uncommon plant that grows deep in Air Glanfath, Carogolan is the name given to the mixture, typically used solely for ceremonial purposes, or else by warriors going into important battles. It is said to open one's awareness to one's place in the world, raising one's ability to recognize and react to threats. Focus gain, plus 10 deflection, plus 20 reflex. You get a little dum-dum, but that's okay. Perfect for Lug-Lug, actually. Take it. I can't wait to munch on this. Oh man, my slots are full. Got a beer collection going on. Where's my beer stash? There we go. Some ale, some beer, and some mead. That's right. Plus 2 damage reduction for 150 seconds. Plus 1 for 300. So ale doesn't last as long, but it's better damage reduction. Mead is the same as beer. I got a mead review I'm doing for a friend. I'm just trying to put it all together. Got a couple bottles from him, so stay tuned for that as well. Man, I got that like first city shock and awe kind of thing where you're like, oh shit, here it is. A multi-section city. We're gonna be here a while.
What is it? Defiance Bay. If ever there was
These animances have brought divine wrath upon us all.
You have found it.
Got some protesting going on out here.
And yet the Duke and his toadies don't do shit. Can we allow this atrocity to continue unchecked?
No! Fuck that!
Well,
Hello.
Roland's arms are crossed and his mouth is set in a grim frown as he watches the gathered protesters. He looks ready for a fight. He sizes you up. New in town, eh? You picked an interesting time to visit Defiance Bay. All these refugees fleeing the frontier and finding the legacies no better here. If the Animancers magger and scorch them and nest in the city like rats. You mark my words, though, those dozens are going to put a stop to it. The dozens sounds like a faction. Tell me about the dozens. He taps his chest. We're an organization of interested citizens who want to free Defiance Bay from dangerous influences of the Animancers and the tyranny of aristocrats who support them. We also consider ourselves a militia of sorts, seeing as the Crucible Knights are a little more than a flock of preening nobles in training these days. Just like the militia, the dozens. Except for the training, and the discipline, and the code of honor. His eyes gleam. And we're always looking to expand. The more people see things our way, the better for our state of our country. You have any interest in hearing more? Stop by Admest Den sometime. The Expedition Hall. A lot of free thinkers in there. Can set you straight with all the nonsense the nobles and Animancers want you to believe. Might even be some paid work for the motivated types. What are you doing out here, besides causing a disturbance? He gestures at the crowd, which buzzes with angry chatter. Trying to get folk to see reason. We're in the midst of a crisis. And instead of purging the nefarious forces from our city, the Duke's granting Animancers dangerous liberties. What do you know about Animancy? It's a studying and a manipulation of essence, which any sane person will tell you is the purview of the gods. The Adirans at least have the sense to outlaw it, which is the only good thing you can say about them. It's not like magic, chanting, or the soul readings, which ciphers do. It's been around since ancient Egwithian times, which is why you'll see Animancers tinkering with old Egwithian artifacts. Connor raises a fist to cough discreetly into it.
Half true is all, but he's an enthusiastic performer, I'll give him that.
He shakes his head. Trouble is, the Animancers got no idea with what half of those artifacts actually do. Not that they'll admit it. Our empathetic friend is correct about one thing at least. Tell me more about Defiance Bay. Luglug's first time here. This is the capital of free Palatinate of Deerwood. We started out as a capital of the Adirn colony, but we booted the Flaccid Scepter from these lands 150 years ago. The Flaccid Scepter? That's what I call my penis. These days we're a major port receiving trade and visitors from all over the world. But we, some of us anyway, strive to hold on to the pioneering spirit that earned us our freedom a century and a half ago. The city is divided into 5 districts. Copper Lane, First Fires, Andra's Gift, Brackenberry, and Heritage Hill. Jesus Christ, that sounds like a bunch of different kinds of wheat bread. He ticks off each with a calloused finger. Man, I'm hungry. I'm going to grab some chicken dumplings. Be right back. Alright, I got myself into this. Tell me about Copper Lane. This here is Copper Lane. He taps a scuffed boot on the cobblestones. It's primarily a market district, but you've also got... Oh shit, give me 1 second. TV just tried to update. Also got Expedition Hall directly north of here, where you can join treks into the wilds. Well, that sounds fun. That's also where my fellow dozen Martas and I tend to meet up with other concerned citizens. He points to a long dome building west and north of your position. And that's the Hall of Revealed Mysteries. Eerie place, you ask me. But they got the biggest library in Deerwood.
Eerie indeed. It might be less so if more kids stepped inside. Perhaps we ought to visit. Luglug. And just see what mysteries are revealed.
Tell me about Brackenberry. A noise of disgust rattles in his throat. That nobility didn't sail back to Adir, stayed there. Most of the families there trace their lineage back to the old imperial times. Other than a lot of has-been nobility, you've got Hadrid House, where Lady Webb and her spies operate, and Brackenberry Sanitarium, the main cesspit of animancy in the city. He spits in the cobblestones. Doesn't have a good opinion about Brackenberry, apparently. Tell me about First Fires. That's where the revolution started, hence the name. These days it's overrun with politicians and penderers, but we'll take it back someday. That's where you'll find the Ducal Palace, the Valiant Embassy, and the Crucible Keep. He shakes his head. The Crucible Knights were the original freedom fighters in Defiance Bay, but now they're just strutting peacocks with their eyes on fancy titles and their heads up their asses. There's an old temple of Wodika there, too. We keep it real nice for her. He winks. What about Onder's Gift? Got the names because it was a wetland. It was drained back in the Imperial days. Now it's a seedy district populated by sailors, common folk, and more than a few thugs. But it's a fun place, too, if you know where to look. He winks and elbows you. Look for a place called the Salty Mast when you're there. Other than that, it's mostly warehouses and abandoned homes. What about Heritage Hill? He shivers. It used to be one of the most prestigious districts in the city. Heroes of the Revolution claimed plots up there next to the ancient Iguathian Tower and the city cemetery. Had the best views in Defiance Bay. Attracts richer types these days, a lot of animancy patrons. He spits. This guy spits a lot. He glances at the crowd and lowers his voice. You wouldn't have heard, but something happened over there a couple months ago. The authorities sealed it off, and they're keeping their mouths shut by, mark my words, animancy's to blame. Alright, we sucked him dry for information. No fog of war here, everything's just open. The Goose and Fox. Probably a good idea to do a save in here as well, in case I blow something. The old Goose and Fox.
What is it?
Alright, we have a lot of people probably to talk to. And of course, stories to read. You see a fire burning slowly on the side of a winding road, unmanned. There seems to be no fuel or wood or oil for it to consume, no hay or twigs. Despite this, it roars, crackles, wails in the wind. It takes you a moment, but you begin to notice a figure in the flames. Its shaking hands cradle a young face, molten red tears marring skin the color of the coal. The boy cowers, flame coating him as he holds his knees to his chest. In the distance, a man approaches faceless. He extends a hand to the frightened child, who considers it warily before taking it. The flames die down, leaving his limbs and settling on his head like obedient pets. All tears dried, they walk together, fire and death hand in hand. Is it fire godlike? Who got rescued or paired up with a death godlike, it sounds like. If there's a bunch of these, I won't read them all at once. I'll kind of do a couple, 2 to 3 here and there as we come back to this end. They're just Kickstarter stories. Luckily, they're not super long. You see a wizard playing illusions in the town square, fingers plucking color and sound from the air and weaving scenes of beauty and fright. A crowd of onlookers gasp and cheers, enthralled with the display. All but one boy standing off to the side, mouth agape. Green eyes are pale with wonder, vision after vision playing out before him, and something inside the boy clicks. Without warning, he bolts, disappearing into the crowd, pushing and shoving desperately. The mage finishes his show soon after, a giant silver dragon descending through the crowd and 1,000 stars exploding into nothingness. Collecting coins, he walks around the clapping crowd, bowing and nodding as each passes until a small sack is dropped into his hands. The boy stands for a moment before him, small and still, and begs the wizard to apprentice him. He glances at the hefty bag, weighing it, and the boy carefully. Finally, he nods and flicks gently at the bag, which disappears. The boy grins. "How do you do that?" he asks, but the illusionist merely winks. In the vulture, you see a hand, curled and bruised, staked to the floor with a bent metal spike. Blood covers the floor and drips from the furnishings and walls. This man looks up from the body he is crouched over to survey the carnage he caused to the family in whose house he now skulks. 4 bodies total, a woman, 2 young men, and a girl. lie blindfolded on the ground. Their legs are bound, both hands are attached to the floor with spikes. He has lifted the woman's blindfold and is currently doing something to her eyes. He pulls back a small blade and covers the eyes again, gently patting the blindfold. He stands and looks around, seemingly satisfied with his handiwork. Suddenly, his breath quickens, hearing someone approach the door to the room. He bounces in place, excitement almost overwhelming him, then rushes to the back of the room, concealing himself in the shadows. From his vantage, he sees the bodies are perfectly arranged, each one facing the door, welcoming the man of the house back, arms outstretched as if in embrace. The door opens as he slowly pulls another spike from his belt, the tip of his tongue playing across his teeth in anticipation.
That guy's got some evil shit in his past.
Alright, I think we can finally sell this overwhelming amount of junk we have in our pack. Lupetes Silverum. It's an interesting name.
Welcome.
The man behind the bar is nearly the size of an armoire. A handle protrudes from his back, and his face is set in a stoic frown. He gives you a small nod.
Here for a drink?
There's a tiny pewter cup in front of him. He turns it on one broad hand, but doesn't drink from it.
This is a lively place.
It's founded in the early days of Deerwood and independence by a traveling scholar named Earl of Levey. He wanted a place where kith of all backgrounds could gather and hash out the issues facing their new country. He rests his elbow on the polished wood of the bar.
It didn't take long for the place to fill up. Brackenbury aristocrats argued with dock workers from the gift while soldiers wrangled with politicians. Deerwoodans have never been known to turn down an argument.
He takes a sip from the tiny cup.
What happened next? Soon kith were coming from farms and settlements too.
He waves at the door as if expecting a crowd to bustle in.
This place got even more popular with the Valian sailors and salty masts. And that was the problem.
He drains the cup.
No matter what the people say about fair-mindedness and civil debate, there's only so much people will tolerate. Look like to masturbate. Huh? Errol found himself on the wrong side of the argument, the wrong thing. And when he disappeared a few days later, some said it was the work of that thing.
He shrugs, spreading his hand over the bar as he surveys the room.
But Earl know which way the wind was blowing. If you ask me, skip town. Head out somewhere, hoping for rational minds to prevail in Defiance Bay.
He cracks a wry grin.
If only he could see it now. Tell me about yourself. Name's Bishop. Used to be Scholar of Barath. Now I run the Goose and Fox and keep the regulars in line.
He shifts and you see a warhammer strapped to his back.
What's more is there to tell? How'd you go from religion to taverns? The journey isn't as long as you'd think. It started with Hollowborn. And with this.
He takes a black bottle from under the bar and fills the pewter cup.
It was my sister's son.
He takes a drink.
At the beginning of Wadewen's legacy. He was one of the first. I never expected there'll be so many after him. Tragedy is part of the cycle, but it's followed by rebirth. Yet every year more parents were grieving for their Hollowborn children, and the gods were silent. So you lost your faith?
He leans forward, crossing his arms on the bar.
Barath promises rebirth, cycles, but the only cycle I found was this one.
He taps the bar.
Have a drink, have another, and another until I couldn't remember how I got home. Wake up, come back. I finally woke up one day to see my family had packed up and left. For all I knew, they'd left days before, I just hadn't noticed. But they were gone, so I came here. Cleaned up since then, not that I found my answers.
He tosses the cup back.
I've just stopped asking questions.
Are you in the mood for awesome swords and shields, bud? I like a man that'll buy anything. Man, too bad there's not a way to drag and drop a box around all this shit. Time to clean out the stash, y'all. Hey, this is part of the experience and fun of the game. Wait, what was that shield? Small shield. That was a poo-poo shield. All that, only 270. Getting that copper. I think if it's non-magical, it's definitely getting the boot. At this point. If it's fine, it's probably getting the boot, because we don't really need fine at this point either. I can't hold this other camping supply, probably. 10,000 copper now. Find scepters and ward staffs. I don't really think I'm going to need this stuff. I'm kind of looking for name shit at this point. Gonna hang on to that shield. Yeah, get rid of it. And that was just there. I think we can do away with all this armor as well. We'll keep the Saints' War. Need to make our way back to our stronghold as well. Keeping the tricorn hat, I like it. Gotta keep our Cape of the Obsidian Order as well. Okay, all that stuff is good. Oh. Heck yeah, I want the dog. It's a yellow lab. They're good animals. Give me that sumbitch. He can be the star of our next show. Actually, we'll just throw him on now. He can be this. We've had this dragon for a bit. Alright, we got some money. We got our little yellow lab down here. Kenra, bodyguards, nobles, mercenaries. She's got a name, let's talk to her. A woman sits by herself, spinning something on the table in front of her and watching it with furious intensity. It's about the size of a coin, and it wobbles over a crack in the wood with a metallic rattle. She snatches it up with one hand and slams a half-empty cup down on the table with the other. This is not a good time. What are you doing here? I like how Lug just bluntly walks up to people. What are you doing here? What does it look like they're doing? She takes a long drink from her glass. Just trying to calm down. Are you trying to talk myself out of something foolish? Something foolish? Lug like foolish. She says nothing for a few moments, as if hoping you'll leave. At last, Kenra looks up at you. The lamplight falls off across her face. A purpling bruise is blossoming along her cheekbone. Uh-oh. Lug does not condone the hitting of females. There's something I need to give to my fiancé, Pernisk. Only he doesn't seem to go anywhere without his new friends, and they're not exactly pleasant company.
Who hit you?
She shakes her head. I know how this looks, but you don't understand. It's not like Pernisk. It's these new friends of his. They brought out the worst in him.
Tell me about these new friends. Going to kill them all.
They come into our house with their dead eyes and their black teeth. I'm not a fool. I know what it means. Pernisk makes me leave when they show up, but it's obvious what they come to do. Last time they came, I told them to get out. Let them have their fun somewhere in the gift, but not under my roof. She scowls and then winces, her fingertips gently probing the bruise. Seth changes you, I guess. The Pernisk I knew wouldn't have squashed a spider. I never thought he'd... She trails off, still feeling the swollen, discolored flesh. I have a survival knowledge on this.
But Sveth,
Is that what it's called? Sveth?
makes people calm and listless. Shouldn't make them violent.
Kenrod shrugs. I don't really know. Seemed better than believing he was always been this way.
Maybe I should go talk to him.
Her hand rests on the table and she clenches it into a white-knuckled fist. There's nothing more to say to him. We're finished. I just want to give this back to him and have a clean break. She opens her hand and a ring clatters on the table. It was his grandmother's. Even after this, I don't have the heart to sell it off. But if I go back there myself, I know what will happen. I'll lose my temper and I'll probably wind up with another one of these. She points to her bruise.
I'll take this ring then.
Aggressive too. She looks at you and nods. The house is just north of here. Just please don't hurt him. You seem like a forceful sort. But I don't want anyone getting hurt again over this. That goes for Pernisk or me.
Lug does not know if he can abide by that.
Kenner asked me to return the betrothal ring Pernisk gave her. She told me that Pernisk's house located next to the marketplace. Okay, so it's here in Copper Lane. Man. He might actually be happy he's getting his engagement ring back.
A dwarf and an Roland debate philosophy on the other side of this curtain.
The painting depicts Glenfathen ruins and the canvas bears the rough brushstrokes of a talented amateur. It blows well. It's Brad Furious. You see a mud-soaked clearing, rain falling to the ground in large drops. This man is lying on his back in the muck, his hands holding open the maw of an enormous steelgar that stands over him, its front paws on his chest. The heavy rain falls over them, playing counterpoint to the grunts made by the opponents. Dead steelgar litter the ground around them, and the man's body shows signs of difficult battle. His clothing is torn, hanging in scraps in some places. His bites and scratches cover his arms and legs. A huge gash cuts across his forehead. Blood and water mixing as they run down his face and drip into the mud. It takes all the man's effort to keep the beast's jaws from clamping down. The man looks around wildly until his gaze finally lands on a large axe lying barely within arm's reach behind his head, the rain slowly covering it with grime and muddy water. He looks at the steelgar and then back at his axe, grim determination on his face. His arms are shaking, and it seems he will not be able to hold the beast back for much longer. He takes a deep breath and wraps his right hand around the steelgar's bottom jaw, then lets go with his left hand, freeing the top of its head. The steelgar's mouth snaps shut on his right hand, as the left shoots out above his head and grabs the handle of his axe. The steelgar grinds its teeth and pulls back, trying to free itself from his grip, blood dripping from its mouth onto his face. With a grunt that quickly becomes a bellow of pain, the man pulls his right hand down, bringing the beast's head closer to him, swinging the axe around as he does. The blade of the weapon pierces the Steelgir's neck and it yelps, its mouth popping open as it tries to step backward off the man. Before his mangled hand can lose its grip, the man pulls and twists as hard as he can, trying to get the beast on the ground, using the Steelgir's resistance to pull himself into a sitting position. He brings the axe down on its neck again and again, and one final time as its head and his hand simultaneously come free. Wow. Severed that dude's head. I don't even know what that is. Makes it sound like it's some kind of wolf. The head flies from his grip as he thrusts his hand behind his back to brace himself as he falls. As his hand hits the ground and his full weight lands on it, a second bellow of pain erupts from his mouth. Breathing heavily, he brings his now mangled hand up to assess the damage. The little finger is gone, lost somewhere in the mud. The two fingers next to it are twisted, broken, and torn, barely attached to his hand by small bits of flesh. He sighs, grabbing both dangling fingers with his left hand. He grits his teeth and pulls. Ah! That was a good story. That's probably one of the better ones for sure. Good job, Brad. Game Hoarder approves that shit.
I'll have it in no time.
You better.
The work of a moment.
Oh yeah, bartender's ring. Plus 20 damage against spirits and plus 20 damage against vessel. Plus 5 will. The simple wooden ring is orange and gray and it glows when you're not wearing it. The ring's actual history is more speculation than fact, while all sources agree that it was owned by Earl of Levi, and that he acquired it after a period of exile. Stories differ on the particulars of how he got it. Some say it was a gift from one of the gods, and others say it was a boon of a pact he made with a wicked power. And the question is, does that count for spells as well? Guy feels like he's kind of like my bard anyways. Like a chanter is literally a bard, just with some different properties and things going on as far as gameplay and combat. But hopefully his spells and gun will do plus 20 damage against this. I'm not sure on that. Sometimes it's just actual weapons.
Yes.
But I'm betting I'll get a fucking comment on it.
Of course.
We still have to read for Lupidus and Roy. Roy looks fun. We're going to save them for other times, though, when we're back here. And if we forget, I don't think anyone will be too butthurt. Earl of Levi, looks on enigmatically from the canvas. Oh, he's like in a kneeling posture, like he's doing a play or something. Okay, upstairs. We have more people. They're all pretty much stuffed in the ends. I think I'll just grab our items for now. This wouldn't be stealing, would it?
I'll see what I can find. I'll have it in no time.
You can't see me.
The work of a moment.
That's our shit, bitch. Won't be reading your story. I don't think it was worth stealing from the some coin and a wizard double potion.
Yes?
Sometimes they let you steal, sometimes they don't. It's interesting.
Yes? The work of a moment.
See, lockpicks are worth stealing. They help me steal more. It's that hero tax. As my buddy Jacksaw likes to say. Gotta pay the hero tax. The pages of these old books are crisp and fragrant with the salts of sea breeze. Oh, it's a new book.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Not worth stealing at all. So we can do some story time up here as well. This is where I'll come to read my books in one video. We can talk about our histories and read books together over a bottle of scotch. Scotch, scotch, scotch. Down into my belly. Oh, it's daytime. Back to doing big city shit.
Of course. You might find this interesting.
Got him. An oaken scarab figurine. This wooden beetle has added lifelike detail carefully burned into the carved shell. Tiny barbs are etched into its legs, and its folded wings bear mazy patterns. Summons wood beetles that can use it once per rest. Sweet. Fitting item for our summoner. Blascon, a common sight in the Deerwood. Blascon is fashioned from sonreed liquid and the boiled sap from Glanfathen trees. It's known to lend a sense of heightened alertness to the user, though it leaves one feeling worn and lethargic once it wears off. Okay, so more buff debuff. The Blascon Crash. Also perception and defense against ground attacks. I think that is the only scout secret on the overworld part of Copper Lane. If you guys know of any others, let me know. Should be able to come back here and for a long time in the game. Gonna replace that with some Blascon. Some burn damage. 11 to 15. Does have some damage reduction bypass, and it does burn damage. Let's play with it for a while. Why is that not flaming, though? Its interrupt is weak, though. So is this. Measured restraint rapier. Favored weapon of a Deerwoodian noblewoman. Measured restraint was not often seen in use, for its bearer was much concerned with propriety, and felt the weapon should be the final resort in any conflict. Though she was quite content to discredit or otherwise hinder those who slighted her. Once her temper was finally roused, however, the rapier spelled doom for her victims, for she wielded it with the proficiency of an old master, and would not allow opponents a single opportunity to flee. 12 to 17. Speed is fast. Accuracy versus deflection. +1 to engaged enemies. That's pretty nice too. We got plenty of time to play with them both. Got a marketplace. Oh, it's my buddy's house. Yeah, I need to talk to you, Pernisk. Gonna have some words. Zvef can be traced back to provisioners in the Valian republics, where the markets for the plant were in question enjoy rapidly rising demand. Most commonly chewed or inhaled, Zvef is infamous for a near catatonic state, in which it often places its adherents. Those who use it claim that the drug gives them a sense of urgency and meaning, lost when the effects fade. More colorful accounts claim that the drug allows one to look within themselves and witness the sight of their own soul. Gives you some good attack speed and movement speed. It's like taking some cocaine. A couple of crude beds have been improvised from an assortment of tattered blankets and pillows. Dribbles of some dark liquid stain the fabric. Now, Lug is evil, but he does not condone drugs or drug addicts. To Lug, these people should be put down and put out of their misery. This book of alien love sonnets has a dedication on the first page to my beloved Kenra that I punched in the face. Someone has peeled the labels from these bottles. They're stuffed with dark, gunky pulp that gives off a pungent odor. Okay, that'll obviously be stealing. The guard holds up his hand as you approach. You can turn right back around. The lower floor is all yours, but nobody goes upstairs. I go where I please. Then please go elsewhere, the guard says, rolling his eyes. Go on. There's nothing up there anyhow. Don't have the 14 resolve. I'm not going to pay him. I'll slay him before I pay him. Boo.
As you wish.
This whole house gets pissy.
Indeed.
I'm not setting up for combat or anything.
As you wish. Hey.
Probably would be a bad idea right now, considering my health. I just realized I still haven't rested. Or camped. I might have to go rest in the room. I don't even know if killing this guy is the way to do this, but let's find out. The man before you flashes you a toothy and rather unpleasant grin. Well now, a new face. Welcome, friend. Name's Pernisk. And this, he gestures to the room around you, is my humble abode and place of business. And I do hope you are in here to do some business. He glances at the nearby guard. Let's see what happens here. I might decide just to go evil and let him continue selling drugs throughout the city. What's your business exactly? If you have to ask, Pernick smirks. Let's be clear. You go running to the guards, you're going to regret stepping foot in this place. In fact, I'd even put odds on you regretting every decision you made in your life to leave you standing in front of me right now. His face shivers with quick, unreadable emotion. But you stay smart, and I figure we can end up very good friends. You can ask my previous customers. They'll vouch for my supply. He grins. I keep it simple. If you have the coin, I have the stuff. You're free to make use of the premises so long as you don't do anything stupid and you don't get tangling with the other customers. Now, Pernice clasps his hands together. Where can I get you? What is stuff? You serious? Pernice eyes you with suspicion and disbelief. Stuff's worth every pound, my friend. It's incredible. Lets you see your own soul. And you're looking at Defiant Space first and foremost, Seth Merchant. Let me see that stock, yo! I didn't even give him the ring yet. Pernice takes the ring and turns it around in his fingers. Nice! What's this for? You don't recognize the wedding band you gave Kenra? Pernice laughs. Oh, yeah, I see now. She's making a statement, is she? Good riddance to her, then. Sorry I ever spent the coin to begin with. Now, is that all? Seems a difficult thing to forget, giving your grandmother's ring to someone. Maybe she's just not worth remembering, eh? Pernix snorts. While you're playing lapdog for her and all, why don't you go back and tell her to keep clear of her here? She seemed to care for you. Why are you doing this? Plenty of stars in the sky. Tell her to go set up in the salty mast if she's feeling lonely. Pernice shrugs. Me and her are done. How dare you hit your own fiancé? How can you live with yourself? She was asking for it, Pernice growls. Sort of like you right now. Maybe you ought to quit digging around in affairs that don't concern you. Me, I've got business to get back to. He points. Doors that way. So we can keep pressing him. He's probably going to attack. Yeah, he's turning into someone else. So that's not even Pernisk. That's Homeboy in disguise. There's something more evil going on here, something more sinister.
Yes. I shall be discreet.
Let's pay the 100 copper now.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea.
Must be something upstairs. I wonder if this is going to set off everyone now.
Might need some help here.
You cannot venture forth while in combat.
Of course.
We were getting attacked either way. Rusty bronze key, hell yeah.
Aye?
These jars are chipped and cracked, as if knocked to the ground and set back in place. It appears as though someone rummaged through this uneven row of books in a hurry.
I shall be discreet. Yes?
Got a room here that takes my bronze key. Oh, look, it's the real Pernisk. This is going to give us a chance to do something even more evil, I believe. Looks like this guy's been taken hostage almost. Someone has gathered sheets and towels into the makeshift bed. The rumpled fabric is stiff with blood and unwashed sweat. A man lies bound and bloodied on the floor before you. His face is a tapestry of bruises, and blood is spattered across several corners of the room. The man cringes and sobs as you approach.
God, please. Please no more. I can't take any more.
I'm not here to hurt you.
The man pauses, gazing up. You're not? Oh, praise Barath. You're not one of his men, are you? He glances nervously behind you. He shakes his head. Please, I don't know who you are, but my name is Pernisk. This is my house. You have to help me.
Then who was that downstairs?
An imposter. Some wizard named Nerid. He came into my house, tied me up in here, tortured me. And now he and his men are eating my food and breaking my shit, and selling Svef inside my own house.
Apparently, he's hitting your wife, too. Whatever you're holding back, you better spit it out, or I'll pry it out of you.
Pernisk looks away, unable to meet your gaze. I may have hung on to a tiny portion of my supplier's share, but I needed that money.
What exactly happened?
He sent over that wizard Nerid, the man downstairs. Pernisk shudders. To make up the lost copper, I guess, and to hurt me while he was at it. Feels like it's been days.
Why should I help you?
Pernisk looks crestfallen. But because it's the right thing to do. Okay, look. Nerid took all my money, but he still has it. If you kill him, he's bound to have more of it on his person. You can have all of it.
Maybe I can convince him to leave.
You don't know him, what he's capable of. You'll see soon enough.
All right, we got some more information here.
Don't you worry, I'll talk to him.
The man before you flashes a toothy and rather unpleasant grin.
I found the man you tied upstairs. The one also claiming to be Pernisk.
The toothy smile falters. That's so. He shakes his head. Shame you had to go digging around, because now I can't exactly let you leave, can I? Oh man, I thought he was gonna give me a Oh, okay. Maybe he is gonna give me an alternative. I was getting tired of pretending to be that sad sack anyhow. His mouth curves into a snarl.
Gods! Hold on! Hold on 1 minute. Maybe we can come to an arrangement.
What do you propose?
You give me a discount on Svef, and I won't interfere with your operations.
Nerid considers you for a moment. All right, but first I need a sign of good faith. Kill Pernisk.
Consider him dead.
Once you're done, it's back to business.
What is it?
"10 minutes ago. Lug doesn't condone drugs. 10 minutes later. Let's drug dealer continue dealing drugs." What can I say? I'm just gonna be evil. I just don't condone them in real life, nor hitting women. You can do it in your games if you want.
Hey, I got some good news for you. You're fucked.
Sometimes it's hard to kind of know the outcome and where to go with these quests before you actually try them out and see the different options, see the different rewards, see the different paths of good and paths of evil. I mean, I could kill this guy too. Make this my second stronghold.
Gods keep you.
My good friend Lug, what can I do for you? I took care of Pernisk.
Yes, we heard. He points to the ceiling.
That one didn't go quietly, did he? Could probably also sell stuff to this guy. I bet you he wants mushrooms. There you go, now you got some inventory. You dirty drug dealer, you.
Of course.
Alright, already 16, 17 minutes past our hour, so we're going to wrap this up here once I give Kainra, or whatever fucking name is, the good news. So this is probably the most evilest thing I could have done. I let the drug dealing continue. I killed the guy who was innocent. And now I'm probably going to lie to his wife, who thinks her husband hit her, when in fact it was some guy perpetrating and imitating her innocent husband. Well, he wasn't that innocent, but... Where the fuck did she go? I think she dipped out. She's gone. She gone. And also, we gone too. See you next video.